Ali. And kumara lang nag-tune in at that special talk show at TMC Palau. Nakaklik at KT Delano, and I will be your host for this talk show. Today, I am gladly joined by the Division of Behavioral Health. We have Pastor Godfrey Sandario, Deacon Rengiil Medalarak, and last but not least, David Moses. Ali, kumara lang medyo nagkita ilang talk show, ilang scenes. Ooy. Matel talk show ang mamasab decreasing stigma against suicide prevention, overdose prevention, and recovery. The mamasab abek patingel atokor mental health, matokor community, and how we can help lift each other up as things get tough when the waters get rough. So without further ado, I'm gonna hand the floor over to you. Before we start, kung mga nar so.
Agi man sisi.
Sisi?
Yeah, I'm good.
Era Deacon, kung nga
Daijop.
Kamari ut patangilek mo daijop.
Mada always say, let's just dive right into it. So, Pastor Sandario, I'm gonna ask from your perspective, what do you see our youth going through today?
All time Yarangayas all time. All time. Mostly they're into the mal. Yung cell phone instead of interaction with verbal interaction. Namodia ka sel mal el dura dolong lira ngayas. Mlamo maral to kubet sen ngot al timer el angal legal ngaraw the swirar ngas ke al time tureling ngot araw to swam lagi mngayas kara like iris mera nairis mal tureling ngot mal ngot perspective the way they think the way they act mal limis ngot anga kamsang al pasik temal ngot the swir marandiar ngar el time mal malom sarandi el gire la toda technology.
So like nasa the paradut say you don't really feel or see that sincerity people have anymore, like it's hidden behind the screen.
Yes. Namudiak si el tilay din mo lorong il domestic kumase mlamo ngaringi sel gora autoswir marandir el masu ba atoy yam tabe el autoswir marandir girela aklangar tire ta other belo.
I see. Makna omesakel baby rock talk show kami such as the one that was at the EPFM sa lakaluwi ng AELI my the list komisa there's importance of faith religion. What are some ways that the youth can anchor themselves spiritually?
Oh yes, very good. Baby ratoil sa edel nga experiencing sa edel mum masya nasa el altama hotel kigarea percentage sa nasa lo sigra tingin a Dios blagan dir lo sigringin masubringin mo ultaw tingin nga pangarti pala evangelical church sa ngaringi youth conference rin youth conference every quarter ng youth conference there are different speakers coming in modo duran ngal sabi tel ngayas mula they're facing depression and they're facing peer pressure. They're facing isolation, and that isolation, the most problem of isolation rangas cell phone. Cell phone makes them isolate themselves, seek information from their own cell phones, learning things from cell phones, which they're not learning them from their homes. Say aswad el holder ngi mung diagri the cell el fellowship malubeng klaw adra adam ma'dil marang algir until it to the high school mo further education tira college, which is to prepare them more familiar tackle say or temo ral adra tackle say gida lang am lang udibus. Soal lo ay sa kulo asya toy raklaw marang malubeng sel tolemi aklaw marang rangulang ayas ako tel klol toy e obrao del toy olgu mangayas del adra el alta ayas el adra belar el alta mamosiga klaw marang Rengiil nga a Dios lo banggel ay gel bolsis fra alsel ya Dios amomsang alom sa ring al momdu ulomi atoy lo lomdas maloreng mawoloru sige lagi sar kwaseng kiap ratolong olira ngayas ma klaw marang malubeng iglesia tira moral mlamo oro itani e mali misel te temal overwhelming activities e dia ka klaw other til lo banggela Dios e dia ka klaw other til lo banggela a family se gisang al sel kita moral mo mo spa da beber atol girela agel depression sel balbol face ya depression comes from peer pressure direct isolation.
I see. I totally agree with that. That sometimes, especially nowadays, you get so caught up in obligations that you have towards school, that sometimes you get so overwhelmed with those obligations and the stress that comes with it that you forget that there are other places that you could seek relief or take some time for yourself and really figure out purpose in what you're doing and why do you do what you do, right?
Yes.
So that also comes with a sense of hope that you get as a person, and I feel like a lot of these days not that many people find or have that sense of hope. So with problems regarding the fact that the youth today feel that sense of hopelessness, how can young people find meaning and hope, especially in these uncertain times?
Kukmak sa gumisat tilay gidin akma senggire la mayas kalat elmo sketchula toy loru girel el moria temel el ngara asku mumdeo ka time ra school at telaklok mo telaklok eguk setra time after school kasi ngara temel ra al sel segidel el time ma girel mornia sa atemel rarogul toy dia kadil put all things together in one time ese amo ulang mo dia sa el lomdas ulang alak regel el blal occupy herself or himself for alsel girel mo mornia ilak del temel ang alaka itiang girel mo sisak larngi al gerel maral metlo el al time me arangal gadi naga omesra magere redil waingal reela tadi meru lagi loru esel tu agrang tadi ko beru magi semong imla obes ko se what is ngrasel ngaka kire kal follow ni rabet conceals na mo dak segi del order ne ang order toy ngarak langar tir el giri el meru even to the application of tir abli mendeka yegi most trar ngaya sa el altama matitul meru lo rablai dan dia kalau belum atemel aureri ma loru rabek conceals igire ngarngi mangari omel kiril gire lagi loru mendia kalau lus rahop rawante atal sils etial lo malat kel toy misel lo brao toy misel klol toy we have to have something to hope for every day at the end of the day en sabe eden modong okle nga malsakal modong okrat ikre lagi el kuru atal sils emom deo kasi what are the blessings that came along my way nga kadimlak expecting but because of what I did ngaring imlay malu bengaray gel accomplishment sel tal sales yung wilal ngaring accomplishment one or two accomplishments of a day el both satisfying those things are the things that can break through depression isolation we have to have a orderly calendar every day. Akum das yang namo time el dolis akrar ngayasa ka el morngia calendar retir malubeng igel schedule of event traklanga retir abek sils mang at the end of the day sibil mo dong okle malak kani kasi yes maralungi larung ke mami maralungi larung wapal tiagi da urur elang man make sure akramu and they were all completed in a very good way mang akmaral mereng asaw lulgihel al sils mal sabel even you guys kau mo diri ma David ma Rengiil sel at the end of the day ngari accomplishment ngari adawi larung hindi akala kari hindi akala ka ongar hindi akala ka pursue there is every day ngari rabek sils but we can break them through come out with the end of the day el lungi larung leng blangi angaral terli rabek sils set a goals the set a goals look at set a dreams look example rawan al adal narabi bilya he had a dream mlaringi abur rusel tial bur rusel adim lagal la clear arail al morni Dios adim lagal lulu asay tiagi da bur rusel mangatang elat tiagi da telel obo morangin mosil no it was really that and those things that he went through in his life were really dark because the things that he went through was really challenging. Akot engkal bui ko amlani abur rusel mo mga tigay ratarak lobsay mo leader ratarak lobsay and then seral ngaral sila bli mamnay mis aleo mamnay mis aleo albui ko ngaral sila bli eng tuwa bli del mo slave because of his brothers they sold him into slavery in slave 13 years he was in prison for 13 years when he got out of his home he was 17 years old and from that moment of slavery on after 13 years he became a governor of the foreign land kam imagine tiang ngal buiger belaw am laringa per rusel ya damal ya rubugul a otru mosibay rabulul ap mangarabulul apel hopeless lengka ngarabulul jakal bulwal adal baliwak ni jakal adal hindi ngara al say and he was faithful to the Lord at that point of time until he received the answer of his dream Matay da kul koring gila la per rose dia kal la karing el maongar mo alak el botosi sabra al sel ngal bui gamlo selay selay bel mora kalabus lot el ak la mal makit mboto ka gelu lul tel ak del Rengiil mal ki kyong lul tel ak din dimla ka tal lo sa Rengiil he went through it all mo kalabus el mora a point el salila obes Rengiil after 13 years and he was crowned as a governor of Egypt el second to the Pharaoh como de kung kantal gulorngi Joseph that was the life of Joseph adios amal sang abarrose kung siya rubugula mo osus ngi adamal madalal maruar bebiringa mo osus ngi and that's an act of worship because he's somebody dimlak lo dengue pulasing tiang morgue di Dios amle prepare ngi al sela gel lolsi sabra al sel lornya challenges el mosois raklangar ngi mlarengi maringel toy no murak ngi dimlak lusra hope akul gorngi elang kasi do not lose hope of what you are dreaming for and the road may not be clear there are things coming in but you're not supposed to go astray. You have to go through it all and wait until you grasp the same dream or come dream of. Ano nga isin? Hindi ka sa lungil toy. Arangaya sa grablur belaw agiri mo understand that there are so many people in this island dal patigar mo rati. Patigar hindi rati. But they need to seek help. Giri lo si granges. Ya pe lo si granges right person. It must be vital information in leading them to be somebody someday. I say, yeah.
I see.
Dahil dang sa radio sa alsis.
Oh. That was, that just hit right here, right in the
Yes.
heart. Lang, atora help and moving forward, it comes from yourself.
Yes.
More like no one can tell you where to move or
Yes.
how to step
Or how to make decisions.
or how to make decisions.
Yes.
It's up to you to get up and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna do it. And if you can't do it yourself, kasi
I remember me when I was in Palau school. I was really want to be a doctor. But when I came up to realize that I'm afraid of a ghost, I changed my course. Nga kami naman takta talebe. Kasi nga sumak mo toktang ibo kurut am lama tal ade kalebay digi erak pengak plak pa. Mak timle setra kolona kasi nga kamongrang imongrang. Diger roku il kol se blexet. Adim lakat taringi happen rak langar yakpai enda abal pasto. Dimla ko ngi pulwasei. Odong ila Dios nga langar kamo pastor. Digel bloxis per alsel amle peranga kalgirel tial ko ni. So I went through those things in my life, and when I look back, I say, "Oh man, these are the things that preparing me to be in this position right now."
I see.
Albibira tayo mong kurat yakat esasay. Albibira the plan Rengiil mo. Hindi may bibira tayo may self plan. Adya kal plan ra Dios. Kita eda lupa siya adar bru amlibra tel bilel hindi gel sa Dios amot mo.
I see. Yeah, things happen for a reason, and even though you don't want them to happen,
Yes.
they're gonna happen, and you just gotta go with the flow. Alright, naman masulangan. David, Deacon, nani nga ko the sweet ginala hopelessness among the youth and how they can combat that.
Kurang belkor chat to ko kami tabal. Kami migirela da. Sel tob raru merkat to. Terkok klobatya. Dia kati le melo mesulas. Awapa mami anting nalike. Kabel dor tiang al mursel obor. Masih? Sel bom dong ok tak magalim al malmei. Egu tialo ya sei. Akor das orang al sa. Erme arugul toy etia part tialo mor. Dia connection al gaul. Mortal environment ta marado. Gida del century. Gida del mo aware el wasi. Ngara gel gida el buru. Atar to el momento ngali ase. Asukum ka other belau. Titul mo to ko belau e kam ngara plus nga ka other belau. Kida soadel. Ko ko other Hawaii mar other aqua. Soadel other abrigel. Yet ke soadel other belau. Ma Moses ludong sa algot moria news ri tabelaw and we le picture nga adel triu the long punch springu half ri ahadaga usakar the ora prayer evitar o ira dora dial Moses ludong saw that before the constitution and everything and this is what today mal mering la adu arar migre lat lekot lur etokot soril ditir e re del moklo lat masih odo re del moklo lat masih lo re del moklo lat e re del mwasikar re del mwaro le sat klo lat sendu klo lat sat sapir pressure Lega soama, why nga kasin so ka ngal galatira le sakal. I'm the man. Why sure? I'm the man. Usay dia. Agire lo siga do ulelo se kad magara mel tital this side abie el motti agile side. Ya. O win raklada ay belo.
I say. Let the ball nganing say if not say the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
Ding ko kukmal sa Maria lo mesertel green grass over there that you're not thinking about how can I make my grass green?
Yep.
Oh, I say it. Oh, David, do you have any thoughts about hopelessness among the youth?
Yeah, so for hopelessness, I was just gonna add on to like what Pastor was saying before. So he wanted to be a doctor, but then eventually he made his way to being a pastor. And like you said before, everything happens for like a reason, right? But one of the things that's like the cause for hopelessness is that you just don't know what to do. You feel lost. You feel like the future is uncertain. You don't know where you're going. But sometimes you gotta slow down a bit. If you can't focus on what's gonna happen next week, all that matters is, can you get through to the day? Are you gonna make it all the way back home safely? And sometimes that's all you gotta focus on. Just figure out what you can do right now.
Yeah, that is the honest truth. You spend so much time thinking about the bigger picture that you're not thinking about the little details that will contribute to what should be a masterpiece. Yeah. Oo. Mang makraswa kalmutil jump into atokara shurang ma culture and how today you don't really see it being as strongly practiced among youth el alsils. Ma Deacon ifung sa ede mo tamasatat masangagora example raigal shurang regidas ede practice malbung values that we could still turn down or not turn down but like pass down to digital youth and alsils.
Agot hindi ka omlang bis mamul. Are you there all time? Tirgel adla say they know it all. Lengara, cell phone. They know everything, and it's true they know. But what they know, are connected al masyuari. They know outside the world. Hindi dia kalami. Legot ngariar ngal gulisak ketia lastir tiap ulok dia. Tirgal ngal kada kalau nglit to ko ya amelul. Ma mongol, ma otu barwa, ma mangabla.
Even this guy doesn't know those things.
If I'm asking if you know, leng diakal nga, waisel gulo ko rin, magi sa mami mapapa, ngarat tial technology, mangal ka ngarat technology. Hindi ka set to coil, sabi edal adu, ewasi, ngarakal mo muru rin alsis. Ngaray gel lungil dorum, ngaray gel makita dorum. Esolas angal kameras ko. Ek okli, ek lupsi, abal ko kapareng samel wasi. Marami kamungal busurang lagi. Masuko makamala raat, masuko makaurang siya adal mala raw. E maurang asunel, he or she cares for you, mauul mamala raw. Masih, siapa pun nggak itu. Saya lakal kasi baru ngomong ada lola kau yang betul kau. Lang, baik dia menolong asu dia lah. Kau manum sah. Len soal opung bungil. Masih, soal opung bungil. Aigel, why aku question why do I say? Ika ngania kalau why hil blakteli. Ada orang yang mau klong, soalnya especially kami mikirin at, serum kegere oleh, beral klong, yang suami luar try bahasa, kegora, udah biru, maybe I can try, mau try, selvom try get that feeling, and you like to get more and more and more. Every ulang ma problem. Ma problem. Soalnya nggak saya gitu, soalnya ya, ada makdilah, aku tuh cloud to trail, el blumur, kita ada belau, apel soil, sell dinner time. Saya gitu kira bekal ada mukdib, yang mengur attention time, ada makdilah, mengadu orang lagi, soalnya kalau saya tembil kerana ada tajil. Ngaray gel plenable buku, ngaray gel assignment, maluwen chores, الكا كده من الممت kami mikirkan anak dia. Kalau nak keluar ke kami mau makara. Bapa, aku meleset temu orang kira lah. Kalau kami nak keluar lah, nak kira mulai lah. Macam dia, orang dia, macam. They want to be adult. They like to see somebody looking at them while they're treating the wood or something. Because they're adult. They have to tell somebody to do for them. You see, mal meringal menggedo sigal to ulel ngai get problem dum so la got to close to tell agirela adam madil el mengadu marbek lad angko anti amotma e mengadu tia rogil organization or family.
Why say? Because like tel shuga nga dikit the ngodel ada lo Mr. Ni to guk mo amda sa se kami guk mal abuse, you guys are very mean to your children, but amraringi at the root of it all teatora tough love.
Yeah.
Oy. Kita we're just building you to be stronger and be better and be able to think for yourself ma sa emel ko amda sa se nga klakaro so sell right tomorrow. Why say it?
O si sa aklal mo ran maklawad. Wala si ola ka nga laer del marale. Eso la to sentamo adrawak. Tirasi. Kadir gamilo mesar miula sentang gel gotel gegre. Gel gotel gegre inge amo murulo mo adrawak. Ese agotel mering toy. Lengrang gel gotel gegre sel bolo ru ringia ulm ikan tigal maklol ad omeseni. O si sa akri. Mabol mistake to hindi. Dia ka say ado makarawa ka kada makaram ka. Au ulman sedangala segada klolad e gidel mgegrel buika blo ol brura uror er maklolad ang oklomes e gida doru em som okr gido li sakri. Dinga yar bebe liga kosi. Hey, I know it all. Why you have to tell me all the time? That need to be changed.
Hilanga ay gade siugang rakit ako tulungil al toro malungil re di ul mang lamo mering lel dadang i otob ale laklangan ngarngi ni mlamo dia ka apply ngi lengar nya ba esel siugang al mlame sois. For example, kial human rights, individual rights, ibeng ngarang ten. Ay kita pepira child abuse. Ay amla sois po. Lelu ulam rigel. El torbengia other belau. Malu udar other belau. Mendekat sebe edel mala rarang laget. Loba alebet. Kamu dengar dia? Sanga edal uklak mulu asyal sumpati karung daraat. Kata mengalami beringin mesam ok beringin, ma tiang act of discipline, tiang lela dos ok daraat. Al suku mangal ka agirel maalebet, ako te ko subati kung raw ul mangirel maalebet. Ako te dimla kal girel mo meror rang clear ng kela, ela ka maalebet, din dia kal girel meror irungal. All badi. Ya umong alep kita umong alep trul umong alep raugel umong alep ayel mata ka umong alep ay dekel apti saya basura alep umong alep dergi malu umong alep imal mangmo dergi ko sendak plutel morsel momar or ma disciplinary mlangi ngarngi direktal kora makita rungul pungay ga nganding direkal mum arubuku labulu melu ulatui raplai alu yang kabli lang bulu amla mo diaksel sense of responsibility tilom kod orang ngalage labulu yolis aklerti but tapai maala darak mong ral toy ya beluri ra aloy temar ngalage labuluri ra aloy ya ruba kamili ra abulu Edi di mandar sel chega rakloba gara uriu ratal buil ngirul sante. Edi akal rulangar ali raplay. Timal ngal tangat el diak ruba kam pokuru lagi. Dimrargi a culture ma a custom ma gilet ma kal tablong. A culture sel tele me ka adar belau. A custom ma gel lomrelel tial culture. Ya ketemu matanya masih ngau ul mengaro maran mudu ul melu rara melua respect ul mudu ul respect il nosis ak larapli ila kada marur mera poai malgol bebira argida direct matargak la umr li di olgum kada mot mak el belu mother stal adal momru laigang mo sabe el masak langar rangaya sakal adal oral min change ding ngarge rabu do start ringi aku tabu pas el alsil sungi bobo asum dia kal sawad el lusrar ngalgedra sel hopelessness ra ngal kal mornia hope malu living hope ngarak langar tir gele lak mongra ta ko sei ing sebe do al sumod mot maru
Why say cuz nagi sitrinya that na say everything starts at home.
at home
Ma sel omelisi or sel while foundation of love and care, mas a sense of responsibility, obligation to your culture, ma your community. Esege it could start to spread out into other places that you may go to.
el ay del blam dung agel ngar al sila family ngara family to del morasku e mora community
Oy. Why say? Like tawal order of operations,
Yes.
sel chain of command in a
Command.
sense. Oy. Ma ilal time arangal ka tirakal youth they struggle with the hopelessness, depression. Ay galbek ko la mental illness. Ding the direct struggle ra to ko ay gal spale la magtitel kar. Ma kamedangul more David, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that you guys have been doing research that comes to addiction and self-harm in the youth. So could you tell us what are some things they face based on the data you've collected?
Yeah. So one of the most common data sets that I normally talk about is the from I think it's the Palau Youth Survey from 2021. So for that one, there's a lot of interesting stuff about that. So first off, for like teenagers who do end up using substances, the most common age of use is 12 years old, like around that time. So of course, it like depends on if it's alcohol, marijuana, methamphetamine. It depends, but generally it's around like 12. But the thing is, like, there are always cases for people younger than that. So like they also ask questions for like kids, and then for kids younger than 12, they normally found that the age of first use was like I think 8 years old. Yeah. So, but of course, I've heard stories of kids younger than that, kids young as 5, as 6, first graders, who smoke meth. Yeah, it's crazy. And as for like how many like actually like use, from that data, it was like 1 in 4 smoke marijuana, and it was like 6%, right? Yeah. So about like 2% who smoke meth, and then 6% who use prescription drugs. So think opioids, tramadol, hydrocodone, things like that. And then for kids, it was like 3% across the board. So yeah, there's like a lot of use. When you think of percentages, you think like 2% is like a really, really small number, but compared to like what other data sets for like mental illness, it's really high. Like, so point is that there's a lot of use in Palau. There's a whole culture that supports that use, not our traditional culture of yours, but I meant more the culture of peer use and peer pressure, that kind of thing. But one of the biggest things for like substance use among the youth is just the lack of coping skills. So you mentioned depression, anxiety, anger, violence, these kinds of things. A lot of the reasons why people end up doing that is because they don't really have healthy ways of coping with that. And by that I mean, if you're struggling with depression or suicidal thoughts, one of the most common things like we're taught is that you just gotta man up and go about your day. But in fact, what that does is that it's really unhealthy. You end up like making the problem a lot worse, and eventually something cracks.
Yeah.
And for substance use, one of the things they do for that is that they treat substances as like a shortcut for coping. So one of the most common stories I hear from my clients is that like work is a lot, it's really stressful. If you're working 2 jobs, you come home at the end of the day, you're tired, you want to relax. So first thing you do is you crack open asahi and you drink. Now, I'm not gonna argue that like you can't like drink a can every weekend or something like that. But point is, there are healthy coping skills. And one of the reasons why you turn to substances is because you don't have those coping skills. Yeah.
Yeah, so with the lack of healthy coping skills, that's where drug use and drug abuse steps in and sort of fills that void that people struggle with. And yeah, I do agree with like at a legal age, the legal age to drink is 21, and you're free as an adult to make your own decisions. But the point where you're crossing the line is when you overuse it or you depend on it heavily and not really seek out proper or better ways to deal with whatever is on your plate that's burdening you. Yeah. So there are a lot of barriers such as that prevent people from going out and seeking help and doing better. So what are some barriers that you've seen that young people face when trying to access support?
Yeah. One of the biggest barriers is just that like they don't know. Like I was surprised at like how like when I talk to people and then I mention like where I work and stuff, they don't even know the office exists. They don't know like where Community Guidance Center. So Community Guidance Center is at the Palau National Hospital, the big hospital, next to where the old morgue used to be, where Biomed is now. You just got to go over there and look for a sign that says BH Programs or BH Conference Room. That's literally where our office is. And a lot of people don't know that. And so like for example, kids who like, they know they shouldn't be chewing, but they're doing it anyways, and their parents like tell them not to do that. And so they try to quit, but they don't even know that 1, the services are there, and 2, that the services are free, even for kids. But another big barrier is stigma. One of the sad things that happens is that we have kids who they have a drinking problem, or they have they're into meth and then they're trying to like quit that. The problem is that to see kids, we need permission from the parents, and so there's that barrier we have to get across. So one of the biggest issues is stigma. So one of the most common things I hear is that when people go to BH, they don't want to be seen there, because if you're seen there, they call you crazy. And so when there's a child in need of our services, they can't actually use them because their parents, 1, they don't trust us. There's a huge confidentiality issue where like soon as, thanks to some things some people did, when you're seen over there, suddenly everyone that you knows that you were there. And now you have that shame attached to you. And second one, there's a belief that mental health services just don't work, when in fact they actually do. The problem though is that mental health services aren't quick. It's a long, hard process for recovery, but it does work. You just got to keep it up.
Yeah. Keep it up and be consistent. Those are some like great values that I think we could also agree that isn't really seen as much in today's youth. And I think that ties in perfectly with how Deacon talked about how we no longer care as a village, or we keep that value of it takes a village to care. What your beautiful banner behind us says is that I'm trying to get my point across in a way where I sound smart, but I'm not jumping off the boat or getting lost in the sauce. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where in the community, you don't want people to know about your business. You don't want to share your problems or seek help, because if you do, it's a sign of weakness. When in all actuality, it's not. It takes a lot of strength and courage to admit that you have a problem and to admit that you need help. And that's like one step that a lot of people struggle to take. And that's just another step you have to take in order to get better and really improve. Right? Did I get my point across?
Yeah.
Elagida the obvious victim.
Mm-mm.
We just talking about the victim or misery. But giredul mo lalak yo omdas see how this thing happen. There's always a reason for something. Okay. Giredul ko omes see apparent involvement. Maybe parents are the one who influence you because they're doing it. Maybe parents. Maybe doing it. That's why. Or maybe lack of financial assistance. That's why they want to look for something else. Maybe a parent's a lack of advising, counseling to their kids. Mingirel dito, Mr. Rengiil victim. We're going to look the whole organization, how this connecting process. Okay? We only look about the victim, but about the other side. There are two sides of it. They're the one who make a person alive, and they're the one who's alive. And there's a reason why this person amlo adra blulad. Nganya value ni. Self value. Who create the value? It is parents. Because parents are what? Tengah to old. Tirgaya wa lo
role model.
Role model and murtigal nga. So kung sama ngalagay maabol الموضوع respect nga kagirek nga mabiigil mo respect each other so my kids can see that and then adopt it. Yeah. Because you have to have a connection. And that's a custom. That's culture.
Yeah, I really like that you brought that up because like that exact thing that you mentioned, those like values, that connection, that's what we call a protective factor. So everything we have in like life, there's two things, protective and risk. What that means is that risk factors are anything that makes you more likely to like drink or like smoke or things like that. And then there's protective factors that keep you away from that. So protective factors, things like does your family care about you? Do you have a family? Are you in your house, or are you like off and like your parents don't even know where you are? That kind of thing. Who are you hanging out with? Do you have good influences in your life or not? Those are protective factors.
At the same time, Moses, its whole system are family, and even we come to the community. The leadership have to see Gilaf tilga ruba kal momes selwase hotel belu wangra. Okay? Abelu ngir leng tilga ruba ka ul mung tamangara babil ka karo sa partati ngar ali. Why a chip? Why betul? Amangarap tulula babi. Why? Lem tulula belu, medala belu, singela belu, dingala belu, tulula belu selbrain. Siya ul mung kal chip mangarang kalbabi mo maklat kanina ngal alelan dia kal blungur mingil mangar oil ako ngara like tokor omrael mamangara imal ako ngara atokor odor siya ul matblibi kal galis tirga ruba ko maklat karangal ali masukum teruba kala belu dia kalungi rangal ali eterogi sistem dia kalungi gira ruba kal dire kal mo aware lo say teluma mawala Modi kal dil diman the sen clean every month most of it and concentrate
I totally agree with that. Like give la lose your self perspective of self a community, and people are always thinking that you're limited by your position or your age or your part in a community that Kaboon di mo obet mo say, yeah, kal ada sabemil help the boat move. You help the boat move, right? Oh
Yes.
yeah, because it takes a community, it takes a village, it takes all of us together to really address the problem and see how can we move forward and fix the problem that we see. Oh yeah. I'm really loving this talk show we have. This Damrel, it's very I don't know. In the way I see it, it's very productive. But I'm lamasada togora culture, community, faith, and how mental illnesses and stigma all lead to the same problem. Because marpato sources, and they all lead into one direction. So I guess that would lead me into this question I've been meaning to ask regarding the recent proclamation that was announced and addressed at the press conference from 2 weeks ago. So, but maybe give a small say or give your thoughts about it, or like the proclamation and let's sign ng president.
Let me ask David to.
Oh, okay. So, we have 3 things for that proclamation. It's opioid overdose prevention, self-harm prevention, and recovery awareness. So, these 3 things are 3 big problems that we notice that are coming up and are getting bigger. There's opioid overdose awareness. One of the things that is coming is this thing called fentanyl. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah, so for the people who don't know about it, fentanyl is think of tramadol, but like, I'll just say the numbers. So it's about 50 times stronger than heroin, about 100 times stronger than morphine. It's so potent that actually just like a little bit, like doesn't even fit on a coin. That amount is lethal for anybody. It's like, unless you have like really high tolerance. But point is, it's a really lethal thing that's coming. We're very lucky in that like we don't have any confirmed deaths for it here, but pretty much everywhere else in the Pacific, the rest of the world, fentanyl is there. That's kind of one of the biggest reasons we're talking about opioids. But not just that, but it's suicide. Every year we have men and women who are like died by suicide. And we want to talk about it. We want to break the stigma against these topics and to keep these deaths from happening. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Many of our so will add on or say or.
Nandi mansara David temla clarify kal boktegara self proclamation. Leng tiang adia kadil ngar alam ngar aledel pelu. Ul masel lagi mo ngoi self proclamation ng masel sel ba aringia tere besul toy ngire del balun magi sel motigui e masang mamukat mok lal murabek tel arbek la yang mlamo gire del malat ka adra balu ma arubul mar masila balu mar gire el adra balu mar ngasa el mo awer uspa el tial makit el qar malubeng ngol sesi sebelum meliula agar leng mlamo mering regi dan tab ali malu ketemu kotir kadam lam edhu mara TV ma radio lo ai sirkulasi ngaring angis ese edel logobira sare laudas el mlamo soal lo mu el malarak langar ni amo sadro ngasa ongerung ya meliula makit el gar mla engalak le na tomalak langar ar muswadal lo ay sarar ade o disa kadakasi saak rado long leder kumasi kadang makarangi mo o disak rarat mo ngayas sa maluwen akati lo spera to lo nga sa lo spera to mo godir mo dial tamalak langar innocent maluwen tra adal sa mo ngilak langar ti ratarak labsay ong edey kadal mutal lolti sel leungil langar Yagi dagil kaldel toil maltung alubeng igel luul eng malang tilu at proclamation kadamo mo mokringi lurur mo malmol muray krel el arra dia kadil ngara al sela igal del buil mol mutra December kadamalat ko si bol bekal sils bol ngar ale da kauklat kasi saak la ro ko bil tiagidel proclamation ar tiagidel uspo elam kitalkat bol sabi edan mumsak lang arar ngalge marani ay
hayalas tuting ito kabaml lo si sakla to ilali muy wa Biblia am dengel wase lamo si saklo wase kyal badengem a templo raruba teya templo raruba mukadam dengel wase kyal badengem a templo raruba aruba gade ka soal kay el tolor aklik soal akligi men dia ka mobat kyal kligi lol turing gaw teya templo raruba okay kami kukira tata toy gaw lo rengs lo ase so ame lo mesal o lem ngalgem ngobugum sister gaw whoever related to you el idel esmer el tegid el gar asugo men dia kalso ebo muswir muswir otherwise ngil was ngraw ngil nges emo sebe lo si karol el tel nges emreli mo dia kalse ebol roid taklala ebolo dengel was nganyar ad el betti karandir kaw ngi mo dengel was arabe klad apti karandir kaw ya anges family wek kaw mal di mo kaw bul decide el ngarumum el was ak mo malala anges it's up to you because it is your life and we love you.
We're coming to an end of our show this afternoon. Let's start the closing statement. Since Rengiil amle start Rengiil po next Kamsal kuger rakaw sister imol to. Maria sister rakaw. Maria brother rakaw. Okay. Atin chair rapid pressure at tiagid. You and your siblings, your parents doesn't teach you how to take meth or smoking marijuana or drinking alcohol. I say they don't teach you how to take it. But peer pressure, ako masisira, mamirakaw, mapaparaw. That's why ang ginedal start Rengiil al sila apply. Mo sabi elang kalngal kal sel token mora community malu mora public ngarngi sel resilient spirit within him or her to resist what is not supposed to come in. I say lege wan lager so loge ring akul wase so am apradin rakaw telar gil apradin rarena
brother ang akalakaluwit ang namo
14 years old. Yeah, recent daral blal biskit ate ibit mula sing 6th grade. El Malaya met. Okay. Al school my brother rakaw 14 years old. Peer pressure gul gori ako si tirgel adal ngar outside who doesn't care about your life. They just want their money. Mang olbal kayo mas olbal dira brother rakaw ngwa amariwan ayale ay sinun sang malangi mo makita tulur sel time lang mi itu utawa brain Rengiil handle ra akisi eltial lies swam low brother rakaw for the rest of his life walking that party no onda sungila adra polo dingit mulo asay tiay mise maknit edial swat lo ngal garang laget alu bedo ada maraba pargit alu bedo dil rama mirgit elsmerap telul moraw lebong rak lang Rengiil igal toy ablabo do dingin pasendia gadi imol plunyolel ngara alsela badingil aap di mogodi rahar malu be mogodi rapre ala mogodi rahar tengwil le adama dil mogodi rapre engal ada maray lulul qawat ndia galungin ado ngalaka edo adam, edo adil, edo brother, edo sister raad kitab telul for another 40 years or 50 years. Imagine 14, 15 years old na bulsa erap telul. Ya life span ringi as elmo kuk medan ngara 50 or 60 years old. The rest of that years, I'll suffering a family, a suffering a community. I said, yeah. So please, ebo tata ka rogui, either kaya nga seo, lukas isak, no moro yung darigi taraikang, bol sa either sopo liya balwak, marangal ke. Especially family. Because we don't know what happenings around the environment that we are living in. There are so many things out there. But also, I'll sell a family. Yang mo sabi, el tuwa po ito. Isel pa aklar mo mo dos well. Bangi?
Yeah. No, I think that's
Any-
a good place to end it. Yeah.
All right. Everything's been said. Now the only thing that we need to do is how do we move forward into addressing these problems
Yes.
and strengthening what should be a strong foundation already. Ma di sige that the close. Ma di swaka lorang asuli May. Thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity to have this discussion with you guys regarding youth issues and youth barriers and everything under the sun that needs to be addressed. Now, Daddy more commune viewers at home, in case you missed it, the proclamation was declaring the month of September through November as the self-harm prevention, opioid overdose prevention, and recovery awareness month with the theme Otila Klangar, Life's Anchor. Ooy. So, Malabol Waisay, once again, Comrade Musula, thank you for your time and for this eye-opening discussion. And I hope that viewers at home take this to heart. Once again, Comrade Musula, mag-tune in at that special talk show. I'm your host, Katie Delano, and goodbye.